When a deadly new serial killer calling himself Torment begins to target the friends and family of Peter Parker, it will be up to the webhead to break bread with Venom in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 23. Meanwhile, over at DC, a Sane Joker seeks an audience with Batman. But why? Well, we'll find out in Batman issue number 7. But oh, we're not done yet, because the big finale of DC KO hits this week with issue number 5. Who will be crowned the King Omega? Who will get to rewrite the DC universe? And what will come next? Well, join me as we dig into 3 of the biggest comics hitting shelves this week and find out together, shall we? So then, as we join the story in progress, Peter is swinging through the city, still on something of an apology tour following his totally spaced out adventures over the last couple volumes. In his internal monologue, he talks about how much he really did miss New York, and he really did care about all the people he was abandoning. Oh sure, he didn't bring it up that much in that story because, you know, his time in space was basically a cup of coffee. And, you know, living the life he does, you figure that Spider-Man would hopefully have some sort of contingency in place in case he ever was lost or injured to the point that he couldn't actually carry on his duties as Spider-Man. But no, he is still just leaving everything up to chance, which I think we're supposed to see as endearing as readers. Oh, look, Peter Parker, he's just like us. He doesn't have a plan. He's also just making it up as he goes along. Only, you know, I'm not a superhero, and when I phone things in, the worst that happens is that videos show up late. When Spider-Man phones it in, people get hurt and die, like his aunt who is still nursing a broken arm. If nothing else, at least Aunt May and her new boyfriend Ricardo are talking to Peter, and we learned that things have actually been going pretty good in their relationship. They're happy, Aunt May has moved in, and she's even renting her old place, meaning that she's got some disposable income to play around with. Now, if you remember a couple issues back, Aunt May basically just blanketly forgave Peter for ghosting her and acting so strange for all of those months. Well, thankfully, now that some time has passed, May feels comfortable enough to finally ask Peter, what the hell was that about, man? I'm your aunt, I raised you, I will always love you, but seriously, that sort of behavior hurts me more than I ever thought I possibly could be hurt. You know, people think that I must be suffering mental decline for taking you back all of these times despite your unexplained behavior. And you know what? Thank you, book, for actually feeling like you take place in reality for a change, and for a second there, it actually felt like Peter was maybe going to get his feet held to the fire for what he's done. Aunt May's words are actually affecting him so much to the point he even briefly considers maybe now is as good a time as any to actually reveal to her my secret identity, but no, he ends up doubling back on it like he always does. May says that Peter probably had a good reason for not telling her, and that he must have been suffering a lot if he couldn't feel that he could bring whatever was going on to his aunt. She only hopes that the worst of it is past. And you know what? There really comes a point when you kinda can't believe Peter anymore when he says, oh no, I can't reveal my true identity to my aunt, that would be putting her in danger. No, she's already in danger. Not telling her clearly hasn't worked out for you all this time, so you might as well try something different. No, the answer is no. This really sticks in my craw about modern Spider-Man. If you can't tell, Peter Parker is characterized as a never-ending screw-up, and yet time and time again the people closest to him are always letting him off the hook. Meaning that there's no actual meaningful story impact for his non-stop screwing up. It's just this self-flagellating cycle that never ends. Thankfully, though, this actually is a small part of Death's Spiral and this issue, because at that very moment out the window, Spider-Man sees Venom duking it out with Lady Octopus, and how fitting Peter had meant to talk to Venom after he got that phone call from Eddie Brock revealing that Carnage actually knows very well that Peter and Spider-Man are the same person, and that he will no doubt probably be gunning for him very soon. Peter excuses himself so he can suit up and help Venom in the fight. Of course, Peter naturally jumps to the conclusion that Venom and Eddie are still the same person. Wait, no, actually, why is that naturally? Even before Peter left for space, the Bugle was writing stories about how there was a new Venom in town and how there was a bunch of potential suspects. Does Peter just, like, not read the news? Feels like he should at least be reading the superhero section. Who are we kidding? He probably only just reads the comics. Now, in a nice bit of continuity, the book remembers that Lady Octopus and her sinister syndicate have actually been working for Tombstone, the current kingpin of crime in New York City, meaning that when her back is against the wall, she actually ends up getting backed up by Herman Schultz the Shocker. We had seen the Shocker and his gang in the last arc, and in fact, Shocker still has a bone to pick with Spider-Man for beating him so brutally. That was Norman acting as Spider-Man, meaning that this is yet another problem that Peter now has to solve now that he's returned. Venom uses Spider-Man's brief distraction to actually think very tactically, pop up from a manhole cover, and knock Shocker out. Lady Ock takes this opportunity to escape, with both in tow, meaning that Spider-Man and Venom are finally alone and have a chance to talk. Peter again calls out to Venom as if it was Eddie, only to be shocked and appalled to realize that under the symbiote is none other than Mary Jane. Oh no, it's like being cornered by two of your exes at the same time. I will admit Peter's reaction is genuinely really damn funny, right up to and including him barfing inside his own mask. Needless to say, these two are going to have a lot to talk about and a lot of notes to compare about what exactly has been going on in the others' lives and why they may very well have been acting strangely. Of course, this is also a crossover story, and you might be wondering to yourself, hey, where the hell is Eddie right now? Well, him and the Carnage symbiote are still hot on the trail of the Torment killer. Though Eddie is becoming highly suspicious of his brand new unwilling symbiote partner. For one, Carnage is acting way too happy and way too complimentary, and also Eddie's phone is missing. Of course, if you read the last issue, you would already know why, but Eddie is a little slow on the uptake, don't you know? Now from there we transition on over to the Shocker, who is licking his wounds following the fight. He takes a phone call with Tombstone, letting him know everything that went down. So here's a little annoying thing I recognized. Shocker and Lady Octopus talk about their boss Tombstone like he's around and like they can get in contact with him, but if you read the Benjamin Percy Punisher book that came out only a couple weeks ago now, Tombstone is in jail. Now that's not to say that he can't run his criminal organization from behind bars. Plenty of gang bosses do. It just doesn't feel right. Just kind of feels like the two creative teams aren't talking to each other, and this is the sort of thing that will always stick in my craw forever. It's too late, though, that Shocker realizes he's not alone. Torment is inside his apartment, and wouldn't you know it, but Schultz also just so happens to have a distant relative with the last name Watson, and because Torment is killing anyone with that last name, Shocker ends up becoming his newest victim. Wow, they really killed a classic Spider-Man foe to help get Torment over. That was genuinely unexpected. Now back over with Peter and MJ, they've had the opportunity to talk and get it all out there in the open. Spider-Man went off to space not because he wanted to, but because he had to. MJ and the Venom suit ended up fusing to save each other's lives. Peter wasn't actually a dick to her before, that was Ben Reilly pretending to be him, and hey, MJ and Paul have broken up. The symbiote suit walks away with probably the line of the issue by saying, "That has made many people happy. Are you many people?" Overall, it was a pretty damn good conversation, all things considered. Of course, it does end up taking an awkward turn when Peter is forced to reveal, yeah, Carnage kind of knows who I am, which means he probably knows who you are by extension. And if we ever want to solve this problem, it looks like we're gonna have to put any awkwardness aside and join forces to get this one taken care of. And not a moment too soon either, because as this story comes to a close, the cops end up raiding Shocker's apartment only to find his severed head accompanied by a set of bloody graffiti that reads "Carnage rules." Ah, but who could possibly have done the murder? Now then, from the wall crawler to the Dark Knight, as we join Batman issue number 7 in progress, we see a scarred individual leaving room 10 at Arkham Tower. He places a call to Harvey Bullock, claiming that a mutual friend wants a meeting with Batman, and if you saw the cover for this one, I think you already know who that person might just be. Yes, that's right, the Joker is reaching out from Arkham Tower to seek a meeting with Batman. Understandably, under most circumstances, Batman wouldn't come when called, but he has a feeling that something fishy is going down at Arkham Tower, and despite his best efforts, he still hasn't been able to fully discern whether or not Dr. Zeller here is friend or foe. So, you know, what better way to learn about the Doctor's experiments with the Helm of Storms than to actually go and see them up close and personal. As Zeller explains, she has managed to have all sorts of breakthroughs with the Joker, or Subject 10 as she chooses to refer to him as. She says that his brain is truly one of a kind, with one of the strangest energy outputs she's ever seen before. Zeller also tries to make sure that Batman knows just how serious she takes containment for the Joker, as a ton of new security protocols have been put in place for his and everyone else's protection. If Batman wants to see the Joker, he's going to have to agree to take off his shoes and stay on the green line. Any deviation will result in a fatal shock. This also includes putting his hands on the Joker too, and I like this from a character standpoint because you don't actually know what is motivating Zeller right here. Is she just a good doctor who is advocating for her patients, or is she still secretly a villain? And is this just a very sly way for her to threaten Batman without him being able to threaten her back. Either way, Batman agrees and gets his audience with the all-new, all-sane Joker, complete with a ton of electrodes that translate his speech to text, a bunch of needles in his back, as well as other such drugs that keep him stable in the tank fluid, and I'm going to assume also maybe cause a little bit of weight gain. I've never seen a chubby Joker before. I mean, you know, except for when I look in the mirror every morning. Now, as you might have guessed, Batman is super suspicious of Joker's supposed turn to sanity. It's not the first time he's faked being sane as part of a bigger scheme, and clearly, despite all of Dr. Zeller's best efforts, the security isn't nearly as tight as she let on. After all, an orderly leaked a message to Batman, so surely Joker, manipulative as ever, sane or not. We actually learn about Josiah, the scarred orderly who called up Bullock. Apparently this guy used to be a cop before the Joker attacked him. Maybe he took a job at Arkham because they were the only people willing to hire him. Maybe he actively wanted to try and help people dealing with similar trauma. Hell, maybe he wanted to be close enough to the Joker to exact his revenge. Maybe all three. What's for sure, though, is that when Josiah would actually sneak into room 10, him and the Joker would spend the night talking. Batman cuts the Joker off right there, saying that he's not buying anything he's selling. Oh, let me guess, right? You've changed. You're sane now. You can't be held responsible for any of the crimes you committed. You're a different person now. Only for the Joker to surprisingly fire back by saying, no, I definitely did do those things. I have memories of them. It's just for the first time ever, my mind is actually clear. No longer a vicious, churning sea. In fact, that's why the Helm of Storms is called what it is. But that despite all of his progress, the Joker still very much believes that he is too dangerous for public life and that he should continue to be kept here in this tube where he's not a danger to anyone. Once again, Batman tries to get ahead of the Joker and his logic. Okay, so you're the devil in the hole now, right? You know you're not fit for regular society, but hey, if you're all contrite, maybe we should let you walk around a little bit, let you have some privileges here within the asylum. Nope, not buying it. And once again, the Joker claims that that's not what he's interested in and not even why he called Batman here today. He says that on some level, he has always kind of pitied Batman, that he knows better than anyone else what monomania feels like, to be so completely driven, to see the world only in black and white, and to be forever focused on a singular goal. It was in this mania that only Batman truly saw the Joker for who he was. He didn't feel so alone when Batman was around. And that now he fears with a sane Joker, Batman might feel more alone than ever. Batman fires back once more by saying there's a big difference between being alone and feeling lonely. And that Joker better cut to the damn chase right now before Batman takes his leave. And indeed, the former clown prince decides to do just that. You see, Joker has a secret. He might be confined to this too, but he actually ends up hearing a lot in the darker side of Arkham, and he has come to the realization that someone out there is looking to kill him. Batman doesn't get shook, saying that, hey, he's Batman. People try and kill him every single day of the week. What should make this any different? But before he goes, though, the Joker ends up dropping a major bomb. Yes, someone is trying to kill him, but not Batman. Someone is trying to kill Bruce Wayne. So Joker does remember that Bruce and Batman is the same person, and now that he's sane, there's no telling what he could possibly do with that information. Now, from the Dark Knight to DCKO, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, Lex Luthor had lied, cheated, and stole his way to victory in the tournament. But hey, you know what? In classic wrestling writing, just because you won the Royal Rumble doesn't mean you're gonna be in the real main event, brother. As the cosmic powers that be end up having their own booking ideas, we're once again treated to that wraparound segment that we've been seeing all series long involving the Trinity at game night. Well, guess what? Turns out that wasn't actually a real flashback. That was a special pocket dimension created by Time Trapper Doomsday to try and keep Superman safe, in case the whole Omega tournament thing didn't turn out in the good guy's favor, which, well, it didn't. Thankfully, though, it did stall for enough time for Lois Lane to actually uncover the true secret history of Doomsday and the place that he inhabits in the greater cosmology. How he is ultimately meant to be the one to stand against Omega King Doomsday and stop the proliferation of Omega energy. Though it's in how he chooses to do it that things end up getting really interesting. Time Trapper Doomsday says that he and Superman have been part of an almost never-ending cycle of death and rebirth since they first met. Doomsday had believed that Superman was supposed to kill him and in doing so ensure his rise to omnipotent godhood, but now he knows that the truth is actually the opposite, and if they want to defeat Darkseid and save the past, present, and future, it is actually up to Doomsday to try and help Superman attain the power to reshape all of creation, which Doomsday can do, as within him he holds not just Omega energy, but also its polar opposite, Alpha energy, the energy of life and creation. Doomsday says that Superman was always meant to be the King Omega, always meant to personify life. After all, there are those who say that this very metaverse itself bends to Superman naturally. Oh, hey, would you look at that, a fun little Doomsday Clock reference, and it's because of that Time Trapper is completely okay sacrificing himself if it means that Superman will finally have what he needs to take the crown of Omega for himself. In a nice little bit of visual storytelling too, Time Trapper Doomsday opens up his chest in much the same way that Christopher Reeve's Superman would to reveal his costume. The all-new Omega Superman takes the field, brushes Luthor aside before eventually fusing with the Heart of Apocalypse, which once again actually handles narration duty for this story. I particularly love that Superman's crown of energy is literally a little Omega symbol, and his cape has become pure streams of light. And with that, the final battle of Alpha and Omega is finally set to take place. Superman has attained the powers to reshape the entire universe, but will it be enough to challenge Darkseid, who is already omnipotent, existing in the past, present, and future simultaneously? Well, that's exactly what the fight seeks to answer, at least from a visual standpoint, as we see a kaiju-sized Superman and Darkseid fight across multiple different famous DC landmarks, including the Themyscira, Oa, Rock of Eternity, etc., before eventually exploding out from Earth entirely. As these two all-powerful titans begin to punch their way through time, we get to see the original Crisis, the birth and death of the Justice Society, Commandiate, Earth, and even the New 52 for a little bit. And you know what? That's not even the only New 52 reference we get in this story, because we get an even crazier one later. Friggin' Pandora shows up for like a panel at the very end, which is crazy to me. Has enough time gone by that people are actually feeling nostalgic for the New 52, you know? Because that's usually how these things move in cycles and everything. I get the feeling that we are very close to a New 52, you know, renaissance, or at least a nostalgic reappraisal. All the while this is going on, the Heart of Apocalypse continues to whisper in Superman's ear that he has the power now, that he can reshape everything in his image, that he can now finally create the beautiful, glowing future that the Legion of Superheroes comes from. Hell, he can recreate the universe to be his own personal heaven if only he is willing to wield the Omega energy the same way that Darkseid would. But of course, that's always been the point of this story. Superman would never actually use his newfound god powers to do anything like Darkseid. As Superman says in his internal monologue, the future needs to be shaped by many hands, not just one set. And that if he already has the power to do anything he wants, then quite simply he's not going to end this fight on his own. He is going to tag back in all of his friends, including Luthor, to help him with one last big, showy, glorious push to finally vanquish Darkseid from this realm. The day is saved, and the universe is primed not just to thrive, but actually to enter a brand new next level, as Superman puts it. The only sad part is that Clark will not be here to see what the universe becomes. His brand new power, his brand new station, means that he is needed elsewhere beyond the veil. Of course, this isn't so much of a goodbye as it is a see you later. Superman will return, but only when his cosmic work, whatever that is done. Of course, his friends and family do everything in their power to keep his memory alive, even uniting for a real game night this time, as they all reflect on the fact that Clark actually did it. He actually got his way and found a scenario wherein everyone really did win, even if it meant having to take himself off the board for a little bit. And we get treated to several little snippets about what we can expect in the fallout of King Superman's choice. Mr. Terrific says that a bunch of people who are at ground zero for that final battle also have Alpha and Omega energy inside them. Booster Gold vows to move heaven and earth to find Superman, as he he did the same for him. Superboy Prime is going to be filling in for Superman in the main Superman book while he's away. The Dark Legion is still around. Luthor is going to use his work in the KO tournament to try and rebuild his image. Cyborg has made a program based on the Heart of Apocalypse, and remember that world Batman went to where all of the Robins got a chance to become Batman? Well, it's still around. Oh, but that's not even the craziest part. You know how Barry Allen has been writing that brand new history of the DC Universe? Well, there's officially a new chapter that he didn't write, one so shocking it actually destroys his computer. Then, of course, there's Darkseid himself. He may have lost, but he doesn't actually see this as the end. Because guess what? This whole DC KO tournament thing actually took place all across the multiverse. And those other Earths were not nearly as lucky as the Prime universe. Darkseid says that much like his own Absolute Earth, he plans to sharpen these Earths into a weapon and prepare for next time where he will usher in a crisis of absolute proportions. And there you have it, everybody. 3 more absolutely massive books hitting comic shelves this week. What did I think? Well, as far as Amazing Spider-Man goes, I'm actually shocked to say the Death Spiral continues to actually keep my attention here. No, this one didn't reinvent the wheel, didn't knock my socks off or anything, but it is keeping consistent. The book looks really nice, which is something I haven't really been able to say about the series in a long time. They definitely put the A-team on this one, and I'll be interested to see what this art team does elsewhere. More than anything, I think what this issue does is kind of have to deal with a lot of the fallout from 3 different books, kind of get characters up to speed with one another, and in a lot of cases actually deal with some consequences for Peter about his behavior and, you know, leaving the way he did to go hang out in space. Again, I don't expect any of this to go anywhere. I don't expect any of it to mean anything, but hey, it is nice that, you know, there at least feels, there's at least an illusion of moving forward. There's actually kind of, you know, an illusion of character growth. And yeah, you know, it is actually just nice for him and Mary Jane to finally be up to speed with one another and actually know what's going on with each other's status quo. I am not entirely convinced of Torment as a villain yet. They certainly are going above and beyond to try and get this guy over. He's creepy, he's mysterious, and boy, they really did offer up Shocker as a sacrifice. In wrestling terms, you know, he had to squash Shocker to get over as this new big bad. Am I a little sad? Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for Herman Schultz, and it is a shame that they killed him the way he did. That, you know, he went out kind of like a punk, but at the same time, I guess if you're going to sacrifice anyone, a D-list villain who didn't really have anything else going on is as good as anyone else. It certainly does make it feel like, hey, this is a story with stakes. This is a story where people die. Again, that's at least what it seems like now. Is it going to keep being like that for, you know, 6 more issues? I don't know. We'll find out. Overall, though, I would give this one a 7 out of 10. Actually not too bad, which for Spider-Man at this point is nothing short of a miracle to say that, hey, it's not that bad. Then after that, of course, we come to Batman issue number 7, and wow, you know, 2 actually kind of more downbeat, slower-paced issues in a row. That's really interesting and something that I only think a writer like Matt Fraction could get away with, being this confident that people will stick around, where I know, you know, the much too common refrain that I hear from issues like this, where people will go, oh, that's boring, no one even punched each other, geez, they just talked for 22 pages, and you know what, they did, and I enjoyed it, it was very good. Again, confident is the word that I would use to describe this series. We've definitely seen takes on Sane Joker before, but I definitely dig this one here in particular. It's a little Hannibal and Clarice. It's a little, you know, ooh, is the Joker going to be this weird oracle now? Is he a problem in the background we're going to have to contend with moving forward? Or, you know, is this just Matt Fraction being like, look, I did a Joker story, we can put him away now, I can focus on the Minotaur, I can focus on other stuff, and maybe hopefully people won't be asking forever, hey, where's the Joker? Well, here he is. He's in a tube. He's getting fat. He's sane, but also is almost certainly probably working on other stuff as well. We then have the big mystery that, ooh, someone is trying to kill Batman, but not just Batman, trying to kill Bruce Wayne. Who could it possibly be? I don't know. I'm definitely invested. I'm definitely interested to see where this one is going to go. Overall, I would give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Pretty solid. And then lastly, we have DC KO issue number 5, the big finale of this long-running DC Comics event, and overall, I liked it. I thought it hit the landing pretty well. Then again, of course, as I've stated many times before, I think I actually like this story more than most people on the internet actually did. I appreciated the silly, wrestling-inspired fun that this story was trying to get across, and the ending was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. Superman was the main focus. From the very beginning, this was his his story. He ends up winning with a little help from Time Trapper Doomsday, which Joshua Williamson did a great job setting up in his own book and then paying off here in this story. Yeah, the good guy wins. Superman wins, defeats the villain, gets the chance to rewrite the entire universe before eventually realizing, hey, you know what, rewriting everything myself kind of makes me a dick and a jerk, and, you know, I should probably involve everyone else in this next phase of the DC universe, in this next level. And in that regard, I think that's where the story probably succeeds best, you know, putting Superman, you know, on a bus for a little bit and setting up a brand new status quo where maybe other heroes are going to get a chance to thrive and get some spotlight. And yeah, I'm definitely excited for that, and I can't wait to see where that goes. The actual fight itself with Darkseid definitely was satisfying to me. Literally seeing them punch each other across time and space was a blast. And I mean, yeah, not really much more to say about that. I don't know if it's my favorite event. I don't know if it's the best finale ever, but I definitely think it completed everything that it set out to do without much complication, which is why I would give it, you know, a really solid 8 out of 10. And with that, everybody, that will just about do it for me for another Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you read something good this week. I hope you're doing well out there. And hey, be sure to join me Sunday because we're going to do this all over again with at least 2 more books. I'll see you there, everyone. Bye-bye.